problem which we discuss some part and will be continue with that discussion because that has to be discussed along with some of the algorithm. And when we talk about NP complete problem, if you remember during the presentation, I told that there are three different approaches. So either we try to develop exact algorithm, which is very difficult. Then we'll go for the one is randomized algorithm, second is the heuristic algorithm. Under the heuristic algorithm, we have many nature inspired solution. So we'll start with the randomized algorithm. Randomized algorithm, as the name suggests, those who have attended the lab class, it is becomes natural to them when we try to simulate or write a small program that I want to prove that probability of tossing a coin is zero point 0.5 or half, whatever you can say. So that how we are doing it, we are proving it through the simulation. And the particular algorithm which comes to our rescue is the randomized algorithm. That means in a algorithm, when we call a random number at least once, we call randomized algorithm. If you understood the randomized algorithm, you'll be finding maybe sometimes you can argue all these nature inspired algorithms, most of them are randomized algorithm. In particular, when we talk about genetic algorithm, you'll be finding there are number of times I am taking the help of the random numbers to take the decision. So we'll start with the randomized algorithm. I think I had discussed with the success story of the randomized algorithm. It's like that many of the algorithm that runs on the backend of the Google. Many applications are randomized algorithm. The text which is popularly available, that is randomized algorithm by Professor Rajiv Matwani. Just now I have uploaded a material. I'll be uploading one or two article by Professor Matwani, and he's the man who was the mentor of Larry Page. Now her wife runs a foundation in US which allows the Indian student, those who are applying for the overseas scholarship, so they are getting help through that foundation. You can Google his name, Professor Rajiv Matwani. You can find more details. So now, what is the motivation? Why we use the randomness? You see, sometimes we are happy with average cases. This average case or average case algorithms are possible through the randomized algorithm. Maybe sometimes we talk about randomized quicksort. That will be the part of the discussion also. So the motivation of study of randomized algorithm to avoid the worst case behavior, right? That means if you try to search a solution space and maybe the solution space is huge and you have only one solution, so it grows in a brute force way, or the solution time or the problem solving time is exponential. So the first motivation is designed to avoid the worst case behavior, and the randomness can probabilistically guaranteed the average case behavior. If you want to fill up this line, you need to write a program. Let us say what is the value of pi? The pi value we are being told or we learn from the book, it is 22 divided by 7 or 3.14. But can you prove it through a randomized algorithm? That is what we are going to discuss. You want to prove the area of a circle. Is it possible to prove that the area of the circle is 2 pi r? You have to conduct number of experiment. You have to conduct the number of experiment through computer with help of a randomized algorithm, just very much similar to the tossing of coins. Those you are not conversant with that assignment, I try to prove that probability of getting head or tail in a fire coin is zero point 0.5. What I'll do, if I'll toss 10 times, definitely I'm not getting zero point 0.5. If I'm doing 50 times also, chance is very less. So if I'll do it for 1,000 times, 2,000 times, 5,000 times, I'll be finding that this but probability of getting head, either head or the tail, it tends towards the zero point 0.5. So this that algorithm which is used typically is a randomized algorithm. So now the second line, this efficient approximate solution to intractable problem. What it says, it is difficult to find a optimal solution. So I am finding a approximate solution. That means I am finding a suboptimal solution and which is close to the solution. That's why it is says it is one of the approach which is used to find out the solution to intractable problem. That's why a complete textbook is available. I don't know about India and other university, but I am pretty sure this is offered as a full paper in IIT Kanpur. Okay, the randomized algorithm for a problem is usually simpler and more efficient than the deterministic counterpart. Yes, this also to be experimented. Whenever we try to go for, let us say, two seedling algorithm, maybe somebody is using first come first served, that is one type of heuristic, then somebody another person is using a randomized algorithm. But when we try to measure the throughput, we'll be finding randomized algorithm is better. A very simple thing, you are using a pathfinding algorithm to enroute a message packet. So you take the help of either greedy algorithm or dynamic programming algorithm to find out the shortest path or finding a path. Another person has written an algorithm who randomly select the edges, then try to see whether this is a solution. If it is a solution, he threw it. Now let us come to the spanning tree problem. Can you thought of a randomized algorithm? Is it possible to have a spanning tree, minimum spanning tree using randomized algorithm? Yes. Is it
Yes, sir.
possible to have? Yes.
I think yes, sir. We can take a vertex and we can choose one of the edges randomly and uh, do it many times and compare the cost.
Yes.
It,
But sometimes it is not going to be a spanning tree, right? Suppose you see something is like that. Suppose you have given 1,000 edges, out of which you are picking up 500 edges. Let us say you have got 501 number of vertex. Randomly, when you select the 500 edges, then if you try to examine, okay, it may be a spanning tree.
I
Are you
mean, we
getting
can
it?
add additional conditions to avoid
Yeah.
cycles. Like,
Okay, that is there, but the selection. Look into the selection, look into the greedy property. When I am doing a selection, I'm selecting either minimum or maximum. Other than that, what I try to do, I'll select randomly without looking into minimum and maximum. Suppose for a n vertex I have to do n minus 1 selection, so I am doing n minus 1 selection. I am doing in such a way that I am lucky in that way that none of the n minus 1 edges which is selected is going to form a cycle. Then at the end, is it going to give you a spanning tree? Maybe or may not be, depending on your algorithm. Maybe or may not be, depending on your algorithm. Or let me simplify this thing. Let us put all the edges into a bucket, right? And pick up n minus 1 edge. Then I question, is this particular edge is constitutes a spanning tree? So what I have to do? I have to check. I have to check. It may be a spanning tree, but it may not be a spanning tree. But theoretically, though it looks very odd that you are doing selection, if you run a program, you will be astonished that in the majority of cases, this randomized method is going to produce a spanning tree. And if we'll compare with a deterministic algorithm, if you compare with a deterministic algorithm, you may find that suppose there are 100 requests to construct a spanning tree, and you try to apply 100 requests, you may be finding, if your algorithm is good, maybe 80-85% of the cases you will able to construct a minimum spanning tree. And if you'll go for a deterministic algorithm like greedy or a dynamic programming algorithm, so within that time you may able to construct only 4 to 5 spanning tree. So looking into the throughput, the randomized algorithms are preferred. Definitely few cases, I mean few miss will be there, few problem for which will not consider them, or few packet which is tried to route through the path will be rejected, but overall throughput will be more. This much you remember, then we'll be justifying those things. Randomized algorithms for a problem which usually is simpler. It is a very simple to write the randomized algorithm. If you know greedy algorithm for a problem, the line where you are selecting, you replace it just with a random. Got it? Just now come to the quick set. You are selecting pivot as the first position. So select the pivot element as a random out of all available n elements. So that results a randomized algorithm. Okay. So now this is the repetition. I think many places we have repeated this one. We talk about intractable problem. I think you have seen many times when we define the problem as a trackable and intractable. So intractable problems are with super polynomial time complexity, or the algorithm is with super polynomial time complexity, and we are looking for a solution to those problems in polynomial time. So we prefer a randomized algorithm. So the most of the times the randomized algorithms are linear time algorithms, because it takes only that many number of moves which is required to be part of the solution. N number of vertex, we need n minus of 1 edges, so total number of trials or attempt we want to select the edges will be n minus 1. So this is again a repetition. We repeat about your decidable problem, that a problem has to be decision problem, because this is the method is also applicable to the optimization problem. So again, when we define a problem is trackable if no polynomial time, sorry, the problem is intractable if no polynomial time algorithm can possible to devise it. That means my real world problem is a represented first as a intractable problem, but in practice I need a solution to that. So when I am going to find out a solution, that just remember randomized algorithm is one of the paradigm that produces solution, that finds out the solution to NP complete problem. That's why in this particular slide we again repeat the definition of NP completeness, that is every other problem in NP can be expressed in terms by means of a polynomial time, and NP complete problem are considered to be the hardest problem, since any problem in NP is shown to be intractable, then all NP complete problems are intractable. So that means here, if a family of problems comes under NP complete domain, then we do not have a polynomial time algorithm, or we do not devise or developed or mm, produced a algorithm that takes polynomial time or that finds a solution in polynomial time to NP complete problem. But when we try to solve a problem, actually we try to find out a solution to one of the case, and sometimes we able to find out using polynomial time, but that should not be generalized. I repeat again, sometimes we try to find out the solution to a NP complete problem, but instead of trying to find out a solution to a generalized NP complete problem, we take a certain inputs or instance and we able to find out a solution. That does not mean that you can find the solution to all NP complete problem. Okay, however, if any NP complete problem can be solved in polynomial time, then all problems can be trackable or solved in polynomial time. Because if we develop, and this is the line which is the contribution from the IIT Kanpur. I think I have said that one, primes in P. So finding a prime number in polynomial time is proved already to be NP complete. So Professor Manindra Agarwal and two of his students, now one of them is a faculty in IIT Kanpur, second is actually is in the Microsoft algorithm division. If you can check on the web, you can find few people who works in the Microsoft R&D in the algorithm division. So he is one of them. So they first proved the prime numbers can be produced in polynomial time. One say that it says a single problem can be solved in polynomial time. If you say a single NP complete will solve in a polynomial time, the rest of the problems in the world can solve in polynomial time. That's why their findings that prime number can be produced in polynomial time, I mean, the result is accepted, and few algorithm books, they adopted their findings, and it is they have cited the things that these two people have proved this, that a NP complete algorithm and NP complete problem has a polynomial time algorithm. Okay, I'll be definitely sharing those papers. Please have a look into this. I am not asking you to read that paper. It is very, very difficult, but you'll just look into that for which paper actually two BTech students and their supervisor was famous at that time in all over the world, because they are the first people who tried to find out a NP complete algorithm for a say a polynomial time algorithm for a NP complete problem, that is how to produce a prime number, or the popularly the problem statement is called primes in P. Okay, so this problem taxonomy, if you look into that, this thing, I try to put exactly the complexities. You look into the trackable problem. Example is a brute force algorithm, maybe a insertion set is comes under that, or any of the algorithm is with a polynomial time complexity. So then, if you look into the problem, it changes. You see here insertion set is a brute force algorithm because it is not fitting to any paradigm. But if you look into the intractable problem, the solution space for traveling salesperson problem is 2 to the power n into n factorial. So a brute force method or algorithm has to analyze all the solution to find out the best solution. So this is one of the example, because the TSP requires 2 to the power n into n factorial, or this number of solutions are possible. Similarly, when you look into the problems that comes under undecidable problem, the problem is the halting problem, that you need to find out a set of input that should be applied to the theoretical machine and it will come to its goal state. That is the halting problem. Or maybe you can take the example of tuning machine, and the second is the mortality problem. You can discuss that in the literature. Okay, so we'll move to that. So when we try to discuss the concept that we try to discuss, that we are looking for a randomized algorithm, we always talk about that problem for which we try to design a randomized algorithms are NP complete problems. Okay, so P is the class of the problem that's solvable in polynomial time by deterministic tuning machine. That means if you want to solution to a problem, you may only sketch a automata or a finite automata or design a tuning a machine, argue that this problem is solvable without writing the code, running on the top of a computer. Just by sketching a automata, you can prove that you have a solution to this problem. Okay, so more formally, the P is the class of the problem, that is a given language. Now I have defined it and I'm repeating. When I say a given language, you see, when you are looking into a automata, we are able to design a regular expression so that this automata is going to recognize that. Now come to the 0-1 knapsack problem. What are the sigma value? Sigma value is 0-1. If I'll consider a 3-item knapsack problem, then this particular language N represent all the permutation of combination of 3 elements, that is 000, 001, 101. It's like this, 2 to the power n number of cases are there. If there is a polynomial time Tn such that this L will be equal to Lm, that means you are designing a theoretical machine that produces a language. If I am going to write down a regular expression that represent a string of 0 and 1, so that is the answer. So if that is the case, if that you are going to produce in a deterministic time, so we call it as the tuning machine of Tn. Okay, I don't want to put you much load on the automata. So it depends on when we try to relate it, we can continue with automata, or we can little bit soft the stand and move to randomized algorithm. So an example of algorithm that belongs to P or this type of problem is Kruskal's greedy algorithm for finding minimum weight spanning tree. So that is the NP complete problem, and we have a solution to that. Okay, now introducing the important class of problem. So that is because the unsolvable problem, I say I'll be skipping these things so that we can discuss as a separate chapter. So now the basic idea when we try to design a randomized algorithm, what is that class of problem and what is the nature of the algorithm? So sometimes we write a randomized algorithm which is a non-deterministic algorithm. That means if I'll run the machine, I may produce a result, I may not produce a result. Now I'm coming to example. Can anybody suggest me linear time sorting algorithm? Linear time sorting algorithm. Yes. Use the concept of randomize. Can you say linear time sorting algorithm? Anybody want to respond? Linear time sorting algorithm. Yes.
So bucket shot and
Bucket
headache
sort.
shot.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
That's only possible when the range is given, no, sir.
Yes, definitely. No, I'm talking of a linear algorithm. It's a very simple. Just now I told. Okay, you take a array A. Yes.
Redix.
So, yes, radix.
Yes, sir.
Radix sort. Okay, it's a linear sorting algorithm, but we are going to discuss a randomized algorithm. Radix sort is an algorithm which is a deterministic algorithm, right? So now here we are taking a random decision. Now look into a very simple algorithm. I say these randomized algorithms are sometimes going to produce the result, sometimes they are not going to produce a result. So based on that, we have a classification to the randomized algorithm. Will be finding in the subsequent slide, that is divided into 4 classes. Okay, that means you are going to write down an algorithm that uses a random number, it produces a result, but that is not the result which is acceptable to you. But in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or more attempt, it produces a result. Okay, now come to a very simple. You have given an array containing n number of element. Let that array will be an, and you want to sort that array. So given array is an with n element, create another array called bn, right? Create the another array bn and initialize that array bn to 0. That means all the element of the bn will be 0. Now what I try to do, I want to sort the an. What I'll do, I'll visit the first element of A1 and generate a random number in between. Let us say I have 10 element. I visit the first element A1 and or I pick up the first element A1. I try to put into any arbitrary location in the array B. Okay. So for that I take the help of a random number generator and try to generate a random number between 1 to 10. I select A1 and I try to place it within the array B. I generate a random number. If the random number is 4, the first element which I have selected will goes to the 4th place in the array. Is it clear? If I'll go on doing like this, and if I'm lucky, there will be no collision, and at the end I'll able to copy A1, A2, A3 up to AN to distinct places in BN. Okay, now BN construction is over. Then what I need to check whether the BN is sorted, because I'm just randomly picking element from array A and keeping it in the position of B. Sorry, I'm selecting linearly element from A and randomly pushing them into the array B. At the end, I need to check the order of B. If it is sorted, so how much time will consumed? How much time we have consumed?
Linear time.
Linear, because n times I'll take to pick from AN and put it into BN. Next cycle, I'm also using the linear time comparison to say that BN is already sorted or not. So the total complexity will be linear. But what is the guarantee that this algorithm is going to produce the correct result?
Sir,
It is not going.
one
Yes.
upon n factor.
No, not 1 upon n. It will be something different. It will be something different because it goes like a conditional probability. You select one item in presence of others, but it is not. First, we only conclude that it is not going to always produce result. So this type of algorithm, we call them as a non-deterministic algorithm. Okay, and non-deterministic. Yes, please. Yes.
Decide, sir,
You are not
number
audible.
you is sir, am I audible now? Hello?
Yeah. Please. Huh.
Sir, sir, how do you decide the position of the number you selected first? Means you told the number to be placed at fourth position. How did you decide that?
That I am deciding with a random generator. Okay, because I am talking of a randomized algorithm. I took the first element from A. I have to place into the position into the B. That position I am selecting by generating a random number. Let us say in between 1 to n.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay,
Got
so
it.
this is a small example you can find in Sahani book in the deterministic and non-deterministic algorithmic section. Only you need to supposed to read only two section, that is I think 10.1 and 10.2, if I am able to recall completely. So yes. Okay, so at present all known algorithm for NP complete problem require super polynomial time. So that is the reason we try to develop a faster algorithm. We have super polynomial time algorithms are there for NP complete problem, but for real world problem we want to find out the answer within certain time limit. Maybe I have to enroute my message packet, so this has to be completed within a few seconds. So we are happy with the suboptimal solution, and at the end of the day the throughput of the system is coming to picture. Okay, so we are happy with the approximate solution, we are happy with the suboptimal solution in practice. Otherwise it will take few days to find out the solution. Okay, so this again we talk about NP complete problem. I just say I'll skip it now. uh, this is this slide I have included because when we are teaching, sometimes we need to again redefine the NP complete problem, but you please do follow that while going through the slides. So these are the few example of NP complete problem, and you can say we know or we can solve all the problems. In our BTech level, we have solved all the problems. NPuzzle we have solved, knapsack we have solved, Hamiltonian path I can compute for graph, traveling salesman solution is also possible for a given graph. Okay, subset sum, subgraph Greek problem, vertex cover, everything is solvable with a small example. Please remember you are solving a instance. In general, this is very difficult to design an algorithm. So the algorithm which is available in the book is not a generalized algorithm, because generalized algorithm is yet to come. Okay, so these are a few examples of NP complete problem, and then we will be discussing the mechanism how we are going to prove them to be hard. And so this is again the NP complete problem, and we'll have um, a different randomized algorithm that comes to their rescue. Okay, now if you will visit, I think I told you about this site, that is the 21 NP complete problem, which is otherwise listed in the literature as CARPS 21 complete problems, which provides a set of problems which are NP complete problem. So why it is so important? Suppose you say I have developed a new algorithm. I have developed I want to solve a problem which other people have not solved. So list is with you. You try to compare something, or you are looking for a standard NP complete problem to prove that other problem to be NP complete. Maybe the click cover will come to your picture, or exact cover will come to the picture. Okay, so let us say we have many application of the click cover and exact cover in a typically wireless sensor network. So these are the 21 problems listed, and the world goes by this list. So these are 21 standard NP complete problem. So the algorithm designer is always try to address the solution to this problem when a new paradigm has evolved. What I mean to say, somebody has developed a new algorithm design technique called genetic algorithm. Then he will be asked to solve this problem. Another person has designed a new set of algorithm called bacterial foraging. So he will be asked to, okay, you pick up this any of this problem, you solve it. Maybe you are the first man to design a genetic algorithm to find out a solution to the halting problem. Of course, it's a suboptimal solution to the halting problem. So that's why this hierarchy is important, or this standard hierarchy. Now this is a very important slide when we try to find out the solution to the NP complete problem. Rather than this slide actually decides your framework of your course. I have to find out a solution to NP complete problem. So first I learn how to prove a problem to be NP complete. That we have not discussed, just we have a simple introduction to the NP complete problem, and the simple definition which I insist you should remember, that we may not have a known algorithm with polynomial time complexity, but we can verify the solution of the problem in polynomial time. Then that is problem is called NP complete. So now when we try to find out the solution, or we try to design a faster algorithm to find out the solution to the NP complete problem, so there we are facing some difficulties. So that, because time is one of the major factor, so considering that, we are happy with the approximate solution or suboptimal solution. The technique which is used to construct the faster algorithm, because in terms of the time, the faster algorithm to find out the solution to the NP complete problem is that one paradigm is called approximation, second paradigm is randomization, third paradigm is restriction, that you have to restrict, then parameterization and heuristic or meta heuristic. So what we are targeting, we'll be discussing approximation, we'll be discussing randomization in details, we'll be discussing this heuristic and the meta heuristic. Okay, if possible, we can touch the restriction and parameterization in details. So this is somewhat decides the layout of the course, that approximation is one chapter, randomization is the another chapter, heuristic you have one chapter, meta heuristic you have one chapter. Okay, so that this is the example. I think you will be knowing the graph coloring problem or map coloring problem. This is application is the placement of registers inside a circuit. So this is one of the example. So sometimes we use it in compiler design to have a optimal compiler. So one example of the heuristic algorithm is a suboptimal and log n greedy algorithm used for graph coloring during register allocation phase of the sum of the compiler. And in this technique, graph coloring is a global register allocation. It says so many things. So this, why it is called as a greedy algorithm, because greedy algorithm we have to select something, so that selection is being done in a deterministic way or with the help of the random number. So this so what the graph coloring algorithm says, what is the minimum number of color required? Look into the statement. What is the minimum number of color required to color a graph? And no other two adjacent states in a particular map or the edges will be same color. Okay, so this is an example of NP complete problem, and that also we have a randomized algorithm for that. So in particular, I forget to tell you, look into the first book. The first book is published in India, and we'll be using almost 4 sections or 5 sections from this book. This is from British Hall of India by Professor S.K. Basu. Is a professor from IIT BHU. So we used to follow the framework of the book when it comes to the lower bound, randomized algorithm, genetic algorithm, etc. But limited pedagogy material, you have to look into the other materials like slide and other book materials. Okay, now this is initially a tough book to handle, but soft copies are available. This is the randomized algorithm text, which is used popularly by Rajiv Matwani and Raghavan. Okay, so this is the reference. Now we have advantage of randomized algorithm. First, Often the execution time or the space requirement is small, and sometimes we have a linear time algorithm possible in randomized algorithm. So this is the best deterministic algorithm uh, which terminates with only that number of steps that equal to n. Second, randomized algorithms are extremely simple, and to comprehend and implement, you'll be finding hardly you have to write 4 or 5 lines code, because the decision part, if they are in a greedy algorithm, you need to construct a min heap or max heap. Here you just need to select a edge. So you can compare which one is the simpler one. Okay, now this is the basic framework. We have an input, we have a output. My algorithm is a deterministic algorithm, runs on the top of a deterministic computer. Okay, so that in the process of acting upon the input to produce the output, your algorithm, here it shows deterministic computer, that is the algorithm took the help of the randomized bit. So a randomized algorithm is just one that depends on the random numbers for its operation. Okay, and those type of random numbers are, we call it as a pseudo random number. Okay, we call it as a pseudo random number, because if you'll take a longer observation and sort all the numbers, you'll be finding it is a continuous. Are you getting me? I have taken 1000 numbers and I want to sort them. I'll be finding almost it is a continuous series. Okay, randomize also. So we'll come to the classification. Don't go to the second line, because we'll come to the classification. What are the 4 different classifications are there? So we call them as the class of randomized algorithm. That means the questions will be like this: write down a Las Vegas algorithm for quicksort, or maybe you write a Las Vegas algorithm as well as Monte Carlo algorithm for quicksort, or finding a minimum spanning tree. You see this is very simple. In a Las Vegas algorithm, the output produced is always correct. You want to sort a array, use quicksort, it will be sorted. Always correct, and expected running time is probably first, or almost it is to the linear time. Example of randomized quicksort and the randomized algorithm for closed pair problem. If you remember in your divide and conquer, we have not defined, maybe in a UG course you come across a problem like closed pair. Second category of algorithm is Monte Carlo algorithm. So it is mostly correct. That means if you are designing an algorithm to find out the minimum spanning tree and you run the program for 100 times, maybe you are finding 90% of the time it says something, 10% of time it says something. Okay, so randomized primality testing. So let us come to primality testing. Any of you remember any primality testing algorithm? How to test a number to be prime? Yes.
The sieve of Eratosthenes.
Yes.
So there was an algorithm sieve of Eratosthenes.
How many algorithms? Those people are having the security specialization. So you first try to learn how you are going to produce a large prime number. What is the largest prime number you can produce? Can you write down a program to produce a largest prime? What will be the bit width? 32 bit, 64 bit? Can you produce? Is there any algorithm to produce prime number? Yes, just tell me. Is there an algorithm to produce the prime number? Or I want to give a task, I want a 32 bit prime number. How to generate that? So then you will be asked, write down the program. One uses randomized algorithm, one uses a deterministic algorithm, how much time it takes. Okay, so that is also part of our course. We'll be discussing primality testing algorithm. We'll write it on the primality testing algorithm. Okay, so We'll say the randomized algorithms can be defined one that receives an additional input that is from a random bit. From which source it will receive the random bit? Because we are taking help of the system call. We try to generate, take the help of the compiler or where it runs, that returns us a random bit. Okay, but the machine on which we are requesting for a random bit is a deterministic machine, right? And you remember there is a term called pseudo random number. Pseudo random number means the number which is produced now will be repeated definitely, but the interval of repetition is very large. Okay, the pseudo random number is to be studied with the property, so that this is the assumption through which the randomized algorithm runs. Okay, and if you run the randomized algorithm again and again, you will be always getting the different results on different run. Okay, so here, so it is for same input. Are you getting what experiment we have carried out in the lab? Are they randomized algorithm?
So one component, the generation of the arrays are random.
But it says here, it says same input. There we are not doing with the same input, right? The algorithm, suppose bubble sort, nowhere we are calling random number to take a decision. But yes, it is true, we have generated an array with help of the random function that is just as an input. Okay, so that you don't consider that will be part of the logic. But you see, we are not acting on the same input. Here it says you are applying bubble sort, but the instance size is fixed and instance is fixed. If it is a randomized algorithm, it is going to give you different results. Clear? I want to multiply two numbers. What will be the result? I have an array of 10 numbers. Every time you generate two random number and select the position and multiply them. So this type of decision is there. Okay, so it is on the same input. One should not confuse, because here we are performing average case analysis on different set of input. Okay, so these are the properties of the randomized algorithm. So algorithms where some action depends on the or a chance are generally termed as the probabilistic algorithm or randomized algorithm. The good example is your randomized quicksort, where selection of the pivot element is equally likely. Instead of selecting the first element as a pivot, we select any element from the available n number of element. Okay, the result of the randomized algorithms may not be always 100% correct. Okay, suppose if you are doing, that means some approximation is automatically being carried out because we take a random decision. That means suppose I am writing a very good minimum spanning tree algorithm. It is not going to produce minimum spanning tree, but it is producing a spanning tree which is very close to the optimal solution. So correctness of the output of those algorithm are characterized by the sum probability. This thing actually what I try to do when we are doing the sorting, we try to use the random input. And if you look into the randomness of the input, the behavior of the algorithm has to be presented with a probability. So that means I have to say something about the bubble sort and the behavior which bubble sort produces. I'll be say this type of behavior will be produced for all the 95% cases, or majority of the cases the behavior is like this. But for one instance, it may not exhibit the same behavior. Very much simple. When we say average case analysis of a particular sorting, we say n log n. But when all elements are equal, we say complexity is order of n square. So treat that input as an instance. So we cannot guarantee for every instances it will produce the same result. So the correctness of the output of this algorithm is characterized by some probability. And if you narrow down this probability, if you develop an algorithm where the error will be or deviation will be only 2% or deviation will be 3%, that will accepted. If you say sometimes it produces very good result and sometimes it produces very bad result, the gap is more, That type of algorithm is discouraged on implementation. The correctness can be increased by running the algorithm for a longer time. This is the averaging. This is the averaging. It asks us to perform number of runs before you land into a solution. The output of the randomized algorithm differs from run to run. Take the example of him finding the minimum spanning tree, and if you are writing carefully a randomized algorithm, every time you will run, it will give you the different tree. It will produce you the different tree. Okay, so now these are the few advantages of the randomized algorithm. That is, faster it runs. Almost all randomized algorithms which is used to address some of the NP complete problems are linear time algorithm. Linear time algorithm. So if you look into the throughput or the same repetitive task I am trying to do, then my throughput will be good because it takes the less time. So randomized algorithms are simple to describe and implement than the deterministic algorithm for a comparable performance. This is to be proved through the simulation by writing the codes. Okay, and again it says the randomized algorithms provides a better complexity bound. That is, through the help of that, you'll be finding the complexity of almost randomized algorithms are linear. Okay, so this is the motivation why we go for the randomization. So this is already we have discussed. So this is uh, saves a lot of time when we want to take a decision to select a candidate, whether it is part of the solution or not. That time can be reduced. So reduction of one can be significant on the average of the worst case, because almost it takes a linear time or just a click of generating random number to make a selection. So randomness often lead to very simple elegant approach to solve the problem, or it can improve the performance of the same algorithm. Right, I'll be also discussing how one result will produced through GIDI algorithm and apply little bit of randomness to that algorithm. That gives me the best result in comparison to if I'll try to solve it using dynamic programming. So the loss of the confidence in the correctness, this loss can be very small by repeated employment of the randomness. That means it asks us to generate the solution again and again before taking the decision, assumes that the availability of the truly unbiased random bit, which is very expensive to generate in practice. So this is the challenge, how to get the random number. Okay, you sometimes you are finding CAPTCHA on your screen when it try to generate a pattern. So every run it varies, it shows you a different CAPTCHA. So how it is possible? That is possible through a randomized algorithm. But again it says but it does not going to say that the CAPTCHA which you are finding will not repeated after 10 or 15 trials. Okay, after 15 trials, because generating a unbiased random number is difficult. So you'll be finding there is a URL rand.org, rand.org. It is there in my slide. I'll show you. You can visit the rand.org and you'll be finding there how to get a perfect random number. How to get a perfect random number. Otherwise, it's a pseudo random number. It is actually sequence. It is randomized. So this is the example through the simulation, so that the probability of getting hit by tossing a fire coin is 0.5, and how to write a randomized algorithm. This is the output what we are expected, and we take the help of a randomized algorithm to do that. Those people are in the lab, I think they have experienced, and those people are not in the lab, you just think how to write it so that you can prove the probability of getting head or tail is 0.5. Now finally the classification of the randomized algorithm. So first one is the numerical probabilistic algorithm, second one is Monte Carlo, third one is Las Vegas. Monte Carlo and the Las Vegas are the two city where the gambling is a legal business, so it is named after that. And fourth one is the Sherwood algorithm. How these classifications are being done? These classifications are being done based on the result produced by the algorithm. As we have seen, if we say the result is always correct or the result is with a less probability, that we'll discuss. The first part is the numerical probabilist algorithm. This actually, let us look into a simulation where you need to find out the average number of packet in a router, and you have to generate that number of packet with help of a mathematical distribution. So that means you have written a program which generate the number of packets in a router, but that will be measured in terms of a integer, the fixed integer and integer constant. So the numerical probabilistic algorithm is applied I mean, this is approximately such a numerical value or computed estimated using the simulation. Sometimes I talk about tossing up the coin, sometimes I talk about finding the value of the pi. So we'll see whether they are numerical probabilistic algorithm or not. So here the example you have taken average number of packet is a, and the Monte Carlo algorithm, you see the Monte Carlo algorithm given an answer, but answer is not necessarily correct. It will always produce a solution. Remember it, Monte Carlo algorithm will produce a solution, but the solution may be correct or not. It may be correct, it may be wrong. So that not necessarily correct. So then what we have to say, along with the result, we have to say the probability of the correctness. Okay, that means if you try to toss the coin for 5 times, you are either finding head is more or tail is more. But if you will continue this operation number of times, then you are finding it is 0.5. So second line says the probability of the correctness can be improved by running the algorithm for a longer time. So then we have two type of error associated with that. The Monte Carlo algorithm said to have one-sided error. That means at each run your algorithm is running, the probability that the output is wrong for at least one of the possible output that it produces, then we call it as a one-side error. A Monte Carlo algorithm said to have a two-side error if there is no non-zero probability that it errors when it output is yes or no. So actually the algorithm takes certain input and produces certain output, and depending, it also depend on the instance or input whether it is able to take care of the errors is there or not. Okay, so this is the example of Monte Carlo algorithm. Then comes your Las Vegas algorithm. If the answer is found out using Las Vegas algorithm, then it is correct. So Las Vegas algorithm does not guarantee a solution in every run. Does not guarantee a solution in every run. If the solution is found out, it will be correct. Otherwise, it is not correct. Let us go back to that sorting of the array what we have decided. Is it coming under any of this category? The algorithm which I told, the array A is given, you are going to sort that into another array B. What type of algorithm it is? Is it always going to produce a sorted array?
Monte Carlo. It might or
Yes, sir,
might not be.
Monte
So Monte Carlo.
That means it is not always going to produce a sorted array, na?
No,
Yes, sir.
When
It
I
will not
try to
produce.
Yes, sir.
yes, then I need to conduct number of experiment to find out the average. Then it is the designer's dilemma how to design a randomized algorithm so that most of the time, suppose you make 100 run, out of 100 run, 88 time it produces the result and the result is correct. So that's why it is a open field. That means anyone can thought of a new design or new randomized algorithm. And the fourth one is the Sherwood algorithm. This is always gives a answer and the answer is correct. That means if you execute it, you will definitely get answer and answer is correct. But for other algorithms on execution, you may not get a result. So randomness tend to make the best case behavior look like that average case behavior. Obviously, we try to conclude because whenever always you are going to get the best, your best case will be same as the average case. Okay, so this is a very simple algorithm. You want to search, maybe the patch of the code is there. You want to perform a random search. Are you getting me? You want to search an element in the random search. What you used to do in binary search, you need to sort them, then only you can search. Now a technique is developed to perform a random search. Random search means I am looking for an item. I will generate a random number. I'll directly visiting to that position and check that whether X is there or not. I'm repeating again. I have an array A of an element. I have to locate a element X. Okay, so for that what I am doing, if I am searching linearly, it will be linear search. If I try to do the random search, I'll just guess a number. Let us say I have an array of 10 element. I'll guess a number. If the number found to be 5, then we are going to check whether the position A5 is equal to X or not. Look into this. I got the I through the random. Then I'm checking whether A of I equal to X. So what type of algorithm it is? What type of algorithm? Definitely not the first one. This, not the definitely first one. First one as a numerical value. Second one, is it always going to produce a result?
No.
Answer yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If it is going to
No,
produce
sir.
a result, yes. But if it is going to produce a result, the result is correct.
Yes, sir.
If it is finding X, then result is correct. So which type of algorithm?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Okay. So this is then we go back to the quicksort. Quicksort always sorts the element, right? Quicksort is always sorts the element, and we are selecting the pivot element as a with a randomness. So what type of algorithm it is?
Monte Carlo.
It always produces correct result.
So
The
Las
last
Vegas.
one, no? Last
Las Vegas.
We take or we select the probability with 1 by n out of all an element to be the pivot, but the output is that it is already sorted. Okay, similarly we'll come to that. Say randomized quicksort. You see, when we talk of randomized quicksort, how many functions you are finding?
So
Two only. What about the function called split? It's a function. Okay, and
Yes,
you try to generate a random number that is b in the range of low and high, because I am shifting my pointers to the size of the array. Elements are different, so my random number generator takes the two value that I need to generate a number in between low to high. Okay. So this is the informal analysis we'll look into later on. Now, this is sometimes is being asked that from Monte Carlo to Las Vegas, or a algorithm is given and you have been categorically told write down a Monte Carlo algorithm. Then next step is that can you convert that Monte Carlo algorithm to a Las Vegas algorithm, or is it possible or not? Okay, so the Las Vegas algorithms are Monte Carlo ones with an error probability of 0. That means we can construct Las Vegas algorithm from Monte Carlo algorithm. Okay, but the success of the probability is associated, and if it will be 100%, then why we call it as in the one category? And otherwise we can convert all the algorithms to Monte Carlo algorithm. Okay, so this is the pictorial representation. What I try to do, we have a Monte Carlo algorithm. So algorithm is Tn, and whenever it produces the solution, it checks the solution with second, then it forwards, and in return we repeat it. So what we try to say, the input whatever we are submitting, we are going on continuing this process unless and until the answer is found to be correct. And definitely we can calculate based on the success probability, we can calculate the running time of the algorithm. We'll come to that, how we are going to do it. Analysis, what I am not discussing, you just go through once the slide. It will be easy for you to discuss these points. And then this is a popular problem. We need to place the 8 queens on the board, and maybe you will be asked to write down a Monte Carlo algorithm and a Las Vegas algorithm. Okay. Now, you see why we are going to this problem, that if we try to look into why this problem is challenging, if we are going to use the backtracking algorithm, the algorithm typically returns a solution after examining 114 of the 2057 possibilities. Okay, and if you are looking into reduce that, then one has to look into that. So corresponding to that example, we'll have a Las Vegas approach without non-backtracking, and this is a polynomial bound algorithm that produces a solution. Okay, so this is example. We'll discuss how we are going to do it. We'll do it with a random. So now we'll come to the Monte Carlo algorithm characteristic. The first one is the computational complexity of the randomized algorithm. So when that means it is possible to have a randomized algorithm for NP-complete problems. Here the input set is represented by I. The algorithm which is going to be constructed may be deterministic or probabilistic or randomized algorithm. Let A is the corresponding randomized algorithm. Then we have a instance, cardinality of I will be equal to N. Okay, therefore, the more natural measure for the performance is the expected running time of A on a fixed instance I. What it tried to say, don't vary the input. Suppose you try to study performance of all the algorithms, takes one set of input and run it. Suppose partially sorted, so apply that to partially sorted. If you say reverse sorted input, apply that to reverse sorted input. So you should not change the instance during the implementation or a particular algorithm. This means time taken by the algorithm A to solve a instance I is over and over. Solve a instance I, instance size is fixed, and the number of elements that appear instance is fixed. If you and it is told, suppose I have an array which is fixed, and if I try to sort them using randomized algorithm, maybe I do it for 10 times, maybe 8 times I will be finding the array is sorted, and another 2 times I am finding some of the error or array is not sorted. This actually I try to say. That is when we are working into a fixed instance, it is working. For a set of instance, we have a probabilistic success. Therefore, the more natural measure of the performance is the expected running time of the AN on a fixed instance. So it says you calculate the average or expected running time by conducting the experiment many times. Okay, this means the time taken by algorithm A to solve the instance I over and over. Thus, the neural network to, it's natural to talk about the worst case expected time and average case expected time. That means we are going to design a randomized algorithm. How we are going to characterize the randomized algorithm as a best case or worst case or average case. Okay. Uh, Now moving to the next, if you're looking into the complexity classes, will be there are 4 complexity classes. Just I'll take 2 slides to discuss. In like we talk about the complexity classes that are associated with conventional algorithms, it uses 4 complexity classes. So these complexity classes is actually related to the probabilistic of success. Probabilistic of success, always success, 20% success, 30% success, 50% success. Based on that, actually, the algorithms are classified. That means if you say randomized quicksort, if you say randomized quicksort, This interruption. Yeah, we are actually, I have not put the restriction on the control. So if I think some of you have by mistakenly closed this thing. Okay, so the complexity classes, it is classified based on the probability of success. That is 50% correct. Uh, I mean 75% correct like this. So this leads to the four classification, that is randomized polynomial time RP, or the problem belongs to a complexity class RP, ZPP, PP and PPP. That is zero error probabilistic polynomial time and probabilistic polynomial time and bounded error probabilistic polynomial time. So these are the four complexity class associated with a typical randomized algorithm. So this is the last slide before we close. You look into this. What I tried to say. You develop a algorithm. You develop a
Hello, sir.
algorithm. Yes. Yes.
Hello. Sir, are
Yes.
you showing some people? I'm unable to see. Hello.
Just wait. Just wait. It will come. Huh? Just refresh it because somebody has stopped the presentation. So I have to start it again. My desktop is shared. My desktop is shared. Just wait it. Huh? My desktop is shared. Huh? Uh, okay. I think we'll be just winding in 1 or 2 minutes. What I tried to say, if it is visible to you, you see something is written X belongs to L. What is that L? L is the language. That means when we try to find out a solution to a problem, it is a combination of the input alphabet. Let us take the example of a spanning tree or a traveling salesman problem. Out of available all the edges are the element of sigma, and taking all the edges, I am constructing a language. Maybe my language is not going to connect. So it says for X belongs to L.
मोबाइल केले
X belongs to L means we are finding a solution. We are finding
Sir, you are mute. Sir, your voice is not audible.
suppose for 01 knapsack problem, your L is 2 to the power n number of element. Agreed? For 01 knapsack problem, your L is all the 2 to the power n number of combination. If I'll go for a 3 item 01 knapsack problem, it is 00, 010, 101 like this, right? And if I am selecting one of them, so that is called X. Got it? L represents the 2 to the power n number of combination, and out of which, let us say you have selected 101. You have selected 101. Now you try to test this whether this 101 is a solution to the problem or not. Reverse way. So what is the probability that the AX? What is the AX? A is your randomized algorithm. X is the input you are supplying, and try to test that whether that is a solution. And if that means that your if you go in a reverse way, your randomized algorithm produced a solution 101, you need to test that whether 101 is a solution or not, or whether it is acceptable or not. That means for all solutions, for all possible solutions, if you are only accepting 50% of the solution, then it is comes to a category of RP, randomized polynomial time algorithm. If required, I'll discuss it again with reference to 01 knapsack problem. The L is the language, that is 2 to the power n number of solutions. For 3 items, it starts from 00 and it uses all the elements, 8 elements, and ends with 111. Okay, but that means these solutions are possible to be produced by a randomized algorithm. That means indirectly what I try to say, if I ask you to write down a randomized algorithm for 01 knapsack problem, what you will do? Can you write a randomized algorithm for 01 knapsack problem? Yes. How you will write it? Okay, you please mute your headphone. Somebody is producing the noise. I mean, this is very tough. Okay, we'll be continuing. Just at least you conclude that you have there are 4 different classes, and I'll be explaining that complexity classes again and again. Now look into the question. Find a minimum spanning tree in a graph with n vertices and m edges. Has a Las Vegas algorithm which has expected running time order of n plus m. Just read that question. Sometimes you can have a linear time algorithm. So can you write a Las Vegas algorithm to find out a minimum spanning tree? Las Vegas algorithm means it will always produce a correct solution, or may or may not be?
Always produce a correct.
Always produce a correct solution.
If produces, then the correct one.
Each produces, but here you see when you are going to select the edges, your selection strategy must be random. That's all. In a greedy algorithm, you are how you are selecting minimum spanning tree? If you have written a truly greedy algorithm, if you have truly written a greedy algorithm, you are selecting either minimum or maximum. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Whenever we do a selection, so there you are selecting minimum or maximum. So you need to sort the input, then take a decision. So don't sort it, randomly pick up that one out of available candidate. That's all. By one line modification, all the greedy algorithms can be converted to randomized algorithm.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, how will we determine whether it is a minimum spanning tree or not if we do a randomized algorithm?
Yes, that is correct. So when we look into the probability case, there are 4 different randomized algorithms are produced. You are writing, suppose you don't remember it is Las Vegas, Monte Carlo, or Sherwood. You have written an algorithm, and at the end of the collection of the edges, you need to examine. The way I told, suppose you want to sort a array. You want to randomly sort the element of the A and put into the various random position in the B. Okay. At the end, it does not mean that the B is sorted. So what you are doing? You have a verification page. Na? Similarly, when you are selecting the set of edges and n number of here, you do random selection of n minus 1 edge. Let it was very simple. All the edge you put inside a bucket, pick up one by one. Just pick up n minus 1 edge and try to check whether they are spanning tree or not. If yes, okay. And you will be interesting if you write this algorithm, if you run for the 100 times, you'll be finding 70% time it produces spanning tree. You'll be astonished why it happens then. This is the beauty. Without mathematical analysis, this is the power of randomized algorithm. Okay, you do it on the linear search. You want to do it a linear search, you are searching, instead of linear search, try to generate a random number. And it will be interesting. I'll have an assignment for that. We do it in the lab. And if you run a small program and by varying these things, you can very easily say how the accuracy of the algorithm changes. You run 10 times, just computing a pi value, run 10 times, run 20 times, run 30 times. If will go on increasing, the average is will also go on increasing. With a good number of experiment, you can find out what is the value of pi. Okay, so this is what I should insist, that everybody should ready to write the implementation of this randomized algorithm. Select any language possible. Otherwise, it will be on theory. You won't able to feel the beauty. We are extensively using, and always you remember the randomized algorithm presents an average case. Suppose you are working on a minimization problem. Nobody has implemented any algorithm so far. You want to propose a algorithm. Your examiner is asking why you are not comparing your algorithm with others. You answer, no sir, nobody has developed that algorithm. So in those cases, you write down a randomized algorithm. Then you propose a new algorithm. If it is a maximization problem, your algorithm will run over that algorithm, randomized algorithm. And if it is a minimization, then your graph will be run below the randomized algorithm. Okay, just to remember this much. This is a very powerful tool for working on the thesis, preparing the research paper. And we have 3 sections of presentation: randomized algorithm 1, randomized algorithm 2, randomized algorithm 3. And I'll be using the framework of the book which I have shown you, that is by Professor Basu. And we'll write down the algorithm, but notation of the Basu is something different. I have already written the algorithms using standard pseudocode notation that I'll share. Sometimes in the Blackboard business we used to write. It is already written in the pseudocode notation. So we'll continue with randomized algorithm. I have uploaded one material. Please go through that. But this again we'll discuss when we'll discuss algorithm. Then let us say we are finding a closest point problem, a quicksort. Before discussing, we'll say whether it is a numerical, whether it is a Monte Carlo, whether it is a Las Vegas. Explicitly we'll say before we continue what type of algorithm we are working on. Okay. So that's all for today. We'll be continuing with different type of problem and the corresponding randomized algorithm for that.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, could you please provide the PPT for previous day's greedy lecture?
Yeah, I have not uploaded. I remember. No? Thank you for reminding me. Huh? If you will not receiving today, again you drop a mail to me. Huh? Because it's a bit of hectic for me. You remind me. Huh? You drop a mail. Huh? Because my schedule is too tight. Huh? Yesterday was too hectic. Okay, because there is a inaugural program of the yes. Yes, please.
So kindly share the quicksort. Yesterday you said no in lab. You will share something about quicksort.
Quicksort. Today I was preparing to show you a mathematical derivation because my setup I could not complete. I was just installing. I'll be using my whiteboard to derive at least the quicksort and as well as the complexity of randomized quicksort, because I want to do that with Blackboard whiteboard derivation. That is required. That I am going to do that. Definitely, I'll be doing that. I'll be doing that. Derivation is must, huh? Because that is the trick. Otherwise, you will be missing. We'll be deriving 3 cases of the quicksort plus. And what is the complexity of randomized quicksort? If you remember, any of you remember?
So in best case and average case, n log n, and worst case n square.
No, randomized quicksort. Randomized quicksort, is there any best case and worst case? Because we are
n log n.
all are
N log n.
Durgesh, your microphone is always creates a problem, huh? What's that? Yeah. Are you joining from the mobile or the desktop?
Desktop.
Okay. So okay, maybe next class I can have my setup. So I want to go for a whiteboard derivation. Huh? It will be a pen and paper business. So keep your notebook and other. Oh, okay, it will be recorded definitely, but I want to show you the derivation because writing the recurrence relation with a probabilistic value and deriving is required. Okay. So we have many examples to discuss. One of them is quick select also, and quick select we have a linear time algorithm. Then we have many problems will be discussed under this, including the primality testing and others. And for all the algorithms, we'll be using the notation that are used in the Sahani book to write, to discuss. Either I'll be continuing with randomized algorithm in the next class, or if my setup is ready, I would like to explain you your derivation actually. How to do, how you will be find out the complexities. Okay. So maybe if you look into, there are some algorithm which you have to recall, like majority of element. I don't know. I have to redefine the problem to you. There are many problems are there which is to be shared, and the attempt has to be from you, whether you are solving it using deterministic algorithm or randomized algorithm. It's like that. Look into this problem. Is it visible? A particular homework. You see, with a good guess, what you can do, with a good guess, you see, when you finding log n, I told you something, it's a divide and conquer type. When you are finding order of n, it will be in your mind that I am going to do it with a randomized algorithm. Got it? Otherwise, order of n is not possible. Order of n is not possible. Okay. Slowly you will be landing into this type of problem, huh? But don't get frightened with these questions. You always try to read it because this is a skill which is to be developed. It's not like that. I say it's the algorithm design, not the analysis that you memorize and reproduce in the exam. Even if a student is just attempting a problem and completing 30% and 40%, you are supposed to get the full mark. Your approach is not like that. We are not examining the MCQ. We are not examining somebody is going to tell that what is the complexity of the quick set, answer comes. Whether understood or not does not matter. But don't hesitate to express yourself. Try to write down your own answer. You see, we have full of question papers always ready. You look into this first question, you at least read it. Consider a randomized algorithm with two side error as in determined in PP. So I am talking of the complexity class, so that the polynomial number of independent repetition of the algorithm needs not suffice to reduce the error of the probability to 1.4. We always says if I'll conduct number of times the experiments, so the error will be reduced. That means if I'll run number of times, I am never landing into the case or my algorithm is free from the that random number, because you see, if I run the same algorithm again and again, if first run if my random number produced is 1, in second run my random number produced is 4, so output will be different. If the out of n numbers, always when you run, your random number gives you 357. Always when you run 357, but you have a range of 1 to 10. Then in that case, you will never land into that. Maybe it is a defect of your random generator, maybe your quality of random number generator you are using. So indirectly try to say like this. Okay. So we have randomized algorithm for Max-Scott-Wien flow theorem. So this I think I have shown you. In divide and conquer, you have a wall and you stand in between, and you have to cross the wall. You don't know the door is on the left hand side or the door in the right hand side, and that problem there will solve it using divide and conquer. Now the same problem is to be solved using randomized algorithm. Okay, we'll have a many discussion. Maybe it will take 6, 7, 8 classes to complete randomized algorithm. Okay. Anybody anything to ask?
Sir, why do we conclude that a randomized algorithm will give us the complexity n? Because I mean, after the first trial, we might not get the final result, so we have to repeat it many times.
No, we are repeated many times, but we have repeated many times. I do agree, but it is itself a linear time algorithm, not the number of attempt. So that's why 4 class is there. If you say my algorithm is Monte Carlo algorithm, I told from the beginning that I am going to get a result or I am not going to get a result. Okay, but the algorithm itself is polynomial bound. I agree with you that number of times I need to run the algorithm, but what is the complexity of the given algorithm? It determines it's a polynomial time algorithm. It is itself the algorithm bounded by n. But I agree you are using that algorithm again and again. When you are using it, you are using to improve the quality of the solution. Let us say you try to find, you just do a necessary modification, 0-1 knapsack problem, or you have written a randomized algorithm which always produces a solution to 0-1 knapsack problem. Yes. What will be that algorithm? You are visiting the item x1. Flip a coin. If head comes, you select the item. If tail comes, you are not selecting x1. Right? Then you move to second item x2. Okay, if you select the item x1, you are checking whether it can be accommodated into knapsack or not. Fine. If you are coming to x2, if tail comes, you are not selecting. Then you are moving to third item, again toss the coin, tail comes, you are not selecting. You move to the x4 and find that head is coming. But you check the remaining capacity of the knapsack, found that you cannot take x4. So only item x1 you have taken, some space is left. So you calculate the profit. So if this is my randomized algorithm, it completes in polynomial time, right? But if I'll run it again, suppose the random number initially when I'm with the x1, suppose the tail comes. So I'm not selecting x1. Let us say the subsequent cases I got head, and it is such that my knapsack is capable of accommodating second item, third item, fourth item, and I am getting more profit. So first case also a solution, second case is also a solution, terminates in polynomial time. But what is the quality of the solution? The first case profit is something, the second case the profit is more. And in those cases, if you run it again and again, maybe we'll be finding more such cases for which the profit might be more, or out of which you will get at least an idea what will be the profit, what will be the average profit. But if you land into a case you are selecting first item, then first item is the highest weight one, very much close to the knapsack capacity. So you, in no case you are selecting second item, third item, fourth item. Okay. So, but the algorithm itself, you remember, which runs once to produce a result, or you can say maybe a result, may not be a result, is bounded by polynomial time. Yes, anybody? Okay, we'll close this session. Huh? please at least you try to grasp the type of algorithm and the complexity class. Only read this much and try to read into 4 slides where it talk about the complexity class, like this equation where it is written less than, greater than, or I mean this 4 complexity classes. Okay, and that is RP, ZPP, PPP, all those classes. Okay. Okay, we'll stop with this.